Hello everyone. In our session today, we want to talk about performance monitoring. Windows Server 2012 R2 provides us with a performance monitoring tool that allows the administrator to keep check of the performance of all the key components of the server and the network. By understanding how the operating system uses the four key hardware components, which would be the processor, the disk, the memory, and the network, and how these key components interact with one another, we are able to understand how to optimize server performance. What we really want to do here is to perform what is called a baseline check of all these key components. This means that we want to do a performance check during routine, normal working time, during the working day, so that we will have something to compare with when we have a problem. Let's say we have a bottleneck on the network, or we have a network problem or processor problem, and we do a performance check. We can then compare that performance check with the baseline performance that we had done before, and then we'll be able to see the differences and the anomalies in the performance. So we have to have something to compare our checks that we do now with what happens usually or routinely on the network. We want to take a look at the performance monitoring tool. So we're going to click on Tools, Performance Monitor. And we're going to click on Performance Monitoring here on the left-hand pane, because we want to look at some of the objects and the counters that we are going to be able to measure on our server and for the network itself. We want to click here on the Add, and here on Available Counters, we see that we can select counters from this particular computer or this server that we're on, or we can browse and select counters from another server. We have different objects. For example, we have the processor. If we expand the processor, we can see that there are many counters that we can measure for performance. There are numerous other counters that we can look at. We want to take a look also at the logical disk counter. We're going to click on logical disk here, expand it, and we can see that there's numerous counters here for the logical disk object. You have disk read time, percent disk time, disk write time, free space. And if we click here on show description, then you get a description for each of the counters. For example, free space will tell you exactly what free space is. It is the percent free space of total usable space on the selected logical disk drive that was free. You have below all instances, meaning that you have all the drives. Here we have C, we have E, and we have a hard disk volume 1. And you can check for performance on all if you click on total, or you can simply click on one disk and check for performance on that disk. So there are numerous counters and there are numerous objects. So we have the objects, and within the objects we have the counters. We can also take a look here at memory. You expand memory, you will see all of the counters that come with memory, available bytes. And if you click on the show description, you will see the description of each counter for that particular object. So we can simply measure the different objects and their counters. For example, if we did memory and we clicked on available megabytes here, we could click on add, carry it over to the added counters. If we go back up to logical disk, expand logical disk here, and we click on free disk space, and we only want that for the C drive, so we can choose one drive or we can choose all, and we click add. Over to the right hand side, you will see that we have added two counters, the free space and the available bytes, and they're from different objects. The free space was from the logical disk and the available bytes from the memory. So we want to click on OK. We then can take a look at what we just selected in real time. If you click here, you can see that there are different graphs. So we can see a graph going across here in real time, a line graph. And the line graph will show you the peaks, the lows and the highs. Then you have the histogram, which is used for comparison. You can compare the two. And you have the report graph, which will actually show you the amount of free space on the disk and the available megabytes total on the disk. So this is what we can see here in real time. But when we talk about baseline, we're talking about actually measuring the different objects and counters and putting them in a log file so that we will have them to refer to in the future when we need to make a comparison. In Performance Monitor, we have data collection sets. Data collection sets would be a combination of counters and objects which we use to collect information, performance information about the activity on the server computer. You can use the data that we collect from the data collection sets to determine resource usage and to plan for growth and to identify potential performance problems. Data collection set can contain the following types of data collectors. They can contain performance counters. This data collection for the performance counters provides server performance data. And then we have event trace data. And this data collector provides information about system activities and events, which often is useful for troubleshooting. We also have system configuration information data collection set. And this data collector allows you to record the current state of registry keys and to record changes to those keys. We want to take a look at data collection sets within Performance Monitor. And we're going to expand data collection sets here on the left-hand pane. You can see that we have user defined, meaning that you're going to define the collection set yourself. You're going to choose the counters that you want to use for performance monitoring. And we also have some predefined collection sets. We're going to expand system here. And we see that we have system diagnosis and system performance. We're going to click on system performance. And this gives us a whole list of counters that can be used for diagnosis of system. And these are predefined. Microsoft has actually given us a collection of counters. What we need to do is to right click on the data collection set and click on Start. And what will happen is that data will be collected from these various counters and objects. And here you can click on Stop the data collection set, and you can view the information that has been collected. We also have another data collection set on system performance. Let's click on system performance. And for this one, we can also right click and start that data collection set, and it will automatically start collecting data. And let's stop the one that we had started here on the system diagnosis by clicking on stop. And then what you can do is to right click on the data collection set and click on latest report. And what it will do is give you a report of the data that was collected. If there are any warnings, you will see the warnings. And here we see we have some basic system checks. We also have the pane with the resource overview for the CPU. You see here we have 7% utilization, low CPU load for the network. You have disk and you have memory. So you're given a report on the performance of all those counters by simply clicking on latest report. We want to look at creating a data collection set from Performance Monitor. We right click on Performance Monitor, click on New Data Collection Set. We can give the name of this data collection set, and let's call it Data 1. Click on Next. And here you can save the data collection set to the root directory, which is the default directory, which is the system drive, perf logs, or you can browse and save it somewhere else. Want to click on Next to continue. Here you have some choices. You can save and close the data collection set. You can start the data collection set now, or you can open the properties for the data collection set. Let's click on Save and Close, which is our default. So we can go ahead and click on Finish. And you can see we have the data collection set here. We can right click on that data collection set, and we can say Start. We can save it as a template. We saw that we had some predefined templates already that Microsoft provided us with. We can create our own template and we can save that template. We can also look at the latest report. We want to look at creating a user-defined data collection set. So we want to click here on user-defined. I'm going to right click and say New Data Collection Set. We're going to give the name of this data collection set. I'm going to call it User Data. You can create this data collection set from a template. And the templates that we had looked at were system diagnosis and system performance, or you can create your own template by creating a data collection set and saving it as a template. So let's go ahead and create from a template. I'm going to click on next. And these were the templates here. And let's say we wanted to use the system performance template. And let's look at the description for this one. This is going to generate a report detailing the status of local hardware resources, system response times, and processes on the local computer. Use this information to identify possible causes of performance issues. Membership in the local administrators group or equivalent is the minimum required to run this data collection set. Let's go back and look at the description for system diagnosis if we decided to choose that template. For this one, you're going to get a report detailing the status of the local hardware resources, the system responses and processes, along with system information and configuration data. You're also going to get with this report suggestions for ways to maximize performance and streamline system operation. We're going to go back to the second one, system diagnosis, and we're going to click on next. Remember, if you had created a template and save that template, you'll be able to choose your own template. You want to click next to continue. Again, you can save it to the default directory, or you can browse and save it to another directory. I want to click on next, and you have the same options. Open your properties, start the data, or save and close. And we're going to click on save and close. It's already clicked, so we're going to click on finish. And you see you have another data collection set. All you need to do is to right click on that and say start. Once you start the data collection set, when it's finished, you close it. And then you right click on it again and click on latest report to see a printout of the report of the different counters that performance was done on. We're going to create a user-defined data collection set now. And you're going to see it's going to look a bit different from the first one that we created. And I'll show you the difference. I'm going to right click on user defined and I'm going to click on new data collection set. We're going to call this one new data. And again, we can create it from the template or we can create it manually. And this is the difference here. The first one that we did not have the option to create manually. We're going to click on create manually and click next. When we create manually, we have these options here. Create data logs, and you can do performance counter, you can do event trace data or system configuration information. Or you can create a performance counter alert. Let us click on performance counter and notice that you can select all three of them, not just one. Want to click on next to continue. And what we could do here, since we're doing a user define, is we can add those counters ourselves. Whereas we did the previous data collection set on the predefined data collection sets that were already there, we're going to be adding our own counters now. So we're going to click on add. and then you want to look for the object that you want. Here we see logical disk. We want to expand logical disk, and we want to go for % free space. So we're going to do that on the C drive, and we're going to add that counter. Then we're going to say OK. Here we can give the sample interval and the units. We can make changes to that. We click on next. We choose where we want to save that data. Click on next, and we can start the data collection set now. We can save it, or we can open the properties to the data collection set. We're going to click on, or we're going to choose save and close, and click on finish. And we can see that we have the new data collection set here. So we want to right click on it and click on start. So what that's going to be doing is at the sample intervals that we had chosen, the data is going to be collected about the free space on the drive. You give it some time, and then you can always stop the data collection set. And you want to then collect that report. So we want to right click and say latest report. To change that view to report view, and we see that the latest report of the free space is noted here in the window. We can also go to the properties. If we right click the data collection set, and we right click on the data collection, we could go to the properties, and we can add more counters. We can change the sample interval and the seconds. Here we have the different log formats. The format can be, for the log, can be binary. It can be comma separated, tab separated, or SQL. So those are the different formats that the log file can take. To recap, by calculating performance baselines for the server environment, we can interpret real-time monitoring information more accurately. A baseline for the server's performance will indicate what your performance monitoring statistics look like during normal use. And you can establish a baseline by monitoring performance statistics over a specific period. When you do have an issue or a symptom occurring in real time, what you can then do is to compare your baseline statistics to your real-time statistics and then identify anomalies. Data collector sets provide a very valuable tool for the collection of performance data. You can then use this data comparison to determine resource usage, to plan for growth, and to identify potential performance problems. This is the end of our session. For our next session, we want to look at alerts, data collection alerts. We want to thank you for listening.